I met Ethan during our first year of college. We were assigned as roommates, and what started as small talk turned into late-night conversations and eventually love. By sophomore year we were inseparable. He wasn't just my boyfriend, he was my best friend. We shared everything, from dreams and fears to stupid jokes no one else would find funny. It felt easy, natural, like something out of a storybook. People around us said we had that kind of connection you don't see often. I believed them. Jess came into the picture a year later. She and I had known each other since middle school, and we'd always stayed close. When I introduced her to Ethan, the three of us instantly clicked. Jess had this infectious energy, always the life of any room, and Ethan admired her charisma. The dynamic worked: weekend movie nights, hiking trips, birthday surprises. It was the kind of friendship people envy. I didn't feel insecure. I felt grateful. Two of the people I loved most genuinely liked each other. The three of us built memories together that felt like permanent snapshots in time. We laughed too hard over dumb games, cooked horrible meals together, helped each other through stress and heartbreaks. Ethan even once told me, "I'm lucky you brought Jess into my life. She's awesome." I smiled because I thought so too. And why wouldn't I? She'd known me longer than anyone. She was there for my first heartbreak, she helped me move dorms in the rain, she knew every version of me. In hindsight, I can't believe how blind I was. There were moments, small, easily ignored moments, that should have made me pause. Like the way Jess would linger a bit too long when hugging Ethan goodbye. Or how they had inside jokes I wasn't part of, even though we all spent time together. Once I caught Ethan smiling at his phone, and when I asked what was funny, he said, "Just a meme," and quickly turned it off. I didn't press it. That's on me. Another time, Jess called Ethan instead of me when she locked herself out of her apartment. When I asked why, she said she knew I was busy. It made sense at the time. A lot of things did. I gave them both the benefit of the doubt because I trusted them. Not just as individuals but as people who knew how much they meant to me. Looking back now, I realize I mistook comfort for safety. I assumed love was enough to protect me from betrayal. But love, it turns out, isn't always a shield. Sometimes it's the very thing that makes the knife cut deeper. I thought I was living a dream. My partner and my best friend getting along like family. What I didn't know was that I was slowly being replaced in a story that started with me. The foundation I thought we built was already cracking, and I was too in love, too trusting to see the pieces falling apart. But everything that's hidden has a way of finding the light. Started with distance. Subtle, quiet changes that didn't scream something's wrong, but whispered it. Ethan became harder to reach, always tired or busy. Our conversations felt shorter, colder. The kind of cold you don't feel right away, until you realize you're shivering in the silence. Jess too had changed. She still showed up, but it felt like she wasn't really there. Her eyes avoided mine more often. Her laugh didn't land the same. I told myself I was imagining it. That maybe they were both just stressed, or maybe I was being overly sensitive. But that feeling in my gut wouldn't leave. Something had shifted, and no one was saying it out loud. Ethan started guarding his phone like it held national secrets. Always face down, always with him, even in the bathroom. He never used to care. We used to share playlists, messages, memes. Nothing was off limits. Now he'd jump at every notification. Then came the lies. Small ones at first. I stayed late at work, when I knew he didn't have late shifts. Jess just stopped by for 5 minutes, when I'd come home and seen 2 wine glasses in the sink. Things didn't add up. I wasn't looking to catch him in something. I was trying to make sense of why the person I loved suddenly felt so far away, even while lying next to me in bed. One night he was in the shower and his phone buzzed. I never intended to look. But something about the way he'd been acting cracked me open. I picked it up just to see who was texting. It was Jess. The preview was short. "Last night was." That's all I saw. Froze. My heartbeat was louder than the running water. When I opened the thread, everything had been deleted. All of it. But why delete anything unless there was something to hide? That's when I started spiraling. Every moment they shared replayed in my head. every inside joke, every excuse. I thought I was losing my mind. So I started paying closer attention. Jess and Ethan no longer acted like friends. They acted like people pretending to be friends, overcompensating with awkward distance. Jess would barely speak if we were all in a room together. Ethan would avoid eye contact when I mentioned her. A week later, I found a hidden folder on his phone while he was asleep. Tucked under a fake travel album there were photos, just a few. Blurry but clear enough. Jess's face, Ethan's body, together. One photo was enough. I didn't need context. I didn't need excuses. My heart sank so hard I felt like I couldn't breathe. I didn't wake him up. I didn't cry. I just stared at the screen, letting it burn a hole in every memory I thought was real. I knew I needed proof, not for closure, but because I didn't want to doubt myself anymore. I needed to look this betrayal in the eye and stop pretending it wasn't happening. I didn't want an apology. I wanted the truth, even if it broke me. I told them I was leaving town for the weekend to visit my parents. Neither of them questioned it. That alone told me everything I needed to know. They were comfortable enough to take advantage of the space I gave them. I left on a Friday morning and returned that same night. Quietly. I didn't want a confrontation. Not yet. I needed confirmation, undeniable proof. So I waited and I watched. I had placed a camera in the living room, angled just right. It wasn't high-tech or complicated. Just something small, unnoticed, but sharp enough to catch what I feared. Few hours after I left, Jess arrived. She used the key I didn't know Ethan had given her. They kissed like it was routine, like they'd done it 100 times. No hesitation, no guilt. Just comfort. Familiarity. That hurt more than anything, their comfort. They laughed, drank wine, curled up on the couch like a couple. My couch. Couch. Ethan looked at her the way he used to look at me. Jess wore one of his shirts, the same one I used to steal. And when they spoke, it wasn't just about lust, it was connection. A twisted one, sure, but real enough to make my stomach turn. They talked about me. That's what made it worse. They mocked how clueless I was. Ethan said I was too trusting, that I never asked questions. Jess laughed. She said, "It's like he wants to be lied to." They weren't just cheating. They were rewriting who I was. Making me the joke in a story I never agreed to be part of. I watched it all in silence. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, absorbing the death of the life I thought I had. Later that night I walked into the apartment. They were gone, back to their separate lives. I sat them both down the next day. No warning. No theatrics. I looked Ethan in the eye and asked him how long it had been going on. He froze. Jess tried to deny it first, but I cut her off. I pulled out my phone and played the footage. I didn't speak. I didn't have to. Every second of that video said more than I ever could. Ethan turned pale. Jess broke down. The silence in that room was louder than any yelling would have been. He said it was a mistake. She said it wasn't supposed to happen. I asked one question. Why me? Neither had an answer that mattered. I stood up, took my keys and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't tell them to never contact me again. I just left, because anything I could have said would have been wasted on people who already decided I didn't matter. Their betrayal wasn't a one-time decision. It was a choice they made over and over again, right in front of me. And I had finally stopped looking away. I didn't go back. I packed a bag, moved into a friend's spare room, and cut them both off completely. No texts, no calls, no explanations. There was nothing left to explain. They knew what they did. I didn't need closure from people who shattered me so cleanly. The silence wasn't about punishment. It was survival. I had to save what little of myself was left. The first few weeks were the hardest. Not because I missed them, but because everything I believed in was suddenly a lie. The laughs, the moments, the memories. I couldn't tell what was real anymore. Questioned everything. Questioned myself. How could I not see it? How did I let it get this far? I started to believe the betrayal said something about my worth, like maybe I was too easy to discard. That part broke me more than anything they did. I started therapy. I needed to hear from someone outside of the mess that I wasn't crazy. That trusting people wasn't a weakness. That loving fully didn't make me naive. My therapist told me something I still carry. What they did says everything about them and nothing about you. I repeated that in my head every day until I started to believe it. Slowly, I began to breathe again. A few months later, I heard through mutual friends that Ethan and Jess didn't last. Apparently, Ethan cheated again. Different person, same pattern. Jess had posted some vague captions about betrayal and karma. I didn't feel vindicated. Felt nothing. That part of my life had ended, and I had no interest in revisiting the ruins. Jess sent me a long message apologizing. I read it once. It was filled with guilt, not accountability. She said she missed our friendship. I deleted it without responding. There are some bridges that don't need to burn. They just collapse under the weight of their own lies. I've changed since then. Not in the bitter, closed-off way people expect. I still believe in love. I still believe in people. But I believe in myself more. I trust slower. I observe more. I give people the opportunity to show me who they are before handing them pieces of me. I've started dating again. Nothing serious, just slow, honest connection. The kind where I don't have to question someone's intentions every time they smile at my friend. There are still moments that sting. Certain songs. Familiar smells. Places we used to go. But they don't ruin me anymore. They remind me of what I survived. I used to think betrayal would destroy me, that it would take something from me I could never get back. But what it did was make me stronger. Wiser. More whole. She slept with my boyfriend. I lost two people I loved in one breath. But I didn't lose myself. They broke something, yes. But I built something better from the pieces. Something real. Something mine.